In this video, I'm gonna show you how to make the world's best candy bar, Snickers, at home. As many of you know, Snickers is perhaps the most famous candy bar in the world, and that has been sold for as long as nearly a century. Maybe you should have the experience of eating that many times. I've loved it ever since I was a kid, so I put on so much effort on making this video. Please watch all the way until the end and give it a try. Snickers is actually made much simpler than you think. It consists of only 3 layers, which are nougat, caramel, and chocolate coating. For the nougat layer, you need corn syrup, sugar, condensed milk, peanut butter, preferably lightly salted one such as Skippy peanut butter, egg white, and water. For the caramel layer, corn syrup, sugar, heavy cream, unsalted butter, salted peanuts, it must be salted, and some water. And also, you need some chocolate for coating. As for the special equipments, you need a hand mixer and a 20 cm or 8-inch square tin, which we wanna apply some oil all over before lining the baking paper, so that the paper will stick to the tin and won't move much while working. And then apply the oil once again on the paper generously, which prevents the nougat from sticking. So first, we're gonna make the nougat layer. In a small bowl, combine the peanut butter and condensed milk. You can add some vanilla at this point. Cover with plastic and microwave for only 10 seconds. Since cold peanut butter can be difficult to incorporate into the nougat, we wanna let this mixture to be warmed slightly beforehand. And then add the egg white into the bowl. Beat with a hand mixer on high speed until stiff peaks like the white one, which doesn't take much. Once that's done, set the mixer aside and combine the corn syrup, sugar, and water in a small pan, which we're gonna cook over medium-high heat until it reaches 140 to 145 C. Meanwhile, we just wait without stirring. You can tell the temperature to some degree by its appearance, but we wanna rely on a thermometer, so when it starts boiling, start taking the temperature. So once it reaches 140 to 145 C, turn off the heat, drizzle the syrup very slowly right along the sides of the bowl while beating on high speed. Drizzle the syrup very slowly and mix throughout the bowl once in a while. Keep doing those two motions alternately until all the syrup is added. By the way, I should warn you, the syrup is extremely hot and dangerous. Never try candy making when having trouble concentrating, maybe due to some kind of worries. Once all the syrup is added, beat for another 60 to 90 seconds to thicken it up. But don't do this too long, otherwise it will harden too much and you will most likely not be able to incorporate the peanut butter mixture. So once the beating is done, switch to a spatula, add the peanut butter mixture. Mix until just combined. By the way, some of the syrup might have hardened and stuck to the side of the bowl. No need to scrape it off, as it is already hard and can't dissolve in the soft nougat. And then transfer to the tin. Brush the top of the nougat with some oil, cover with another baking paper, and spread it out evenly with your hands. At this stage, you don't have to rush because it's pliable even if it's cold. So using your hands, spread it out as evenly as possible. Take your time. Once there are no empty spaces on the bottom, remove the paper on top. Let me eat some. It's so peanutty, soft, gooey, and addictive. The first component, nougat, is done. Next, we're gonna move on to the caramel layer. Start by chopping the peanuts roughly like this. And then, in a small non-stick pan, add sugar, corn syrup, and water. Somehow my camera missed this part, but anyway I added corn syrup, sugar and water in a small non-stick pan, lightly mixed, and started cooking over medium-high heat. For safety reasons, I recommend using a non-stick pan when making firm caramel, because with a pan that is not non-stick, the caramel can stick to the bottom and you might need to scrape it off forcefully, which can cause the hot caramel to splash over yourself and is dangerous. So what we do now is wait until it looks amber in color, like the white one. Until then, we just wait without stirring. Once it starts partially caramelized, swirl the pan to cook evenly instead of stirring. Once it looks like this and smells delicious caramel, turn off the heat and immediately pour the cream little by little. It's gonna boil vigorously, but don't panic. As well as add the butter. You can add some vanilla at this point. Turn the heat back to medium-high once again and cook until it reaches 119 or 120 C. If you prefer super chewy caramel, you can go up to 121 C. The softness of a caramel is determined by its final temperature. What we need is a firm caramel, so unlike a caramel sauce, we're gonna cook for far longer. So now, after adding the cream and butter, what we're gonna do is keep stirring all across the pan evenly, with a thermometer on one hand and a spatula on the other hand. Keep stirring. Make sure that the tip of the thermometer doesn't touch the bottom. We just wanna take the temperature of the middle of the caramel. We wanna be careful, especially when using a shallow pan like mine. Once it reaches the right temperature, turn off the heat and immediately add the chopped peanuts. Stir together until just combined. And then pour over the nougat. Spread it out with a spatula evenly before the caramel hardens. Now all the contents of the Snickers is done. We're gonna wait for at least 1 hour at room temperature to cool down and set. Don't put it in the fridge because if it's cold, it's gonna make the process of chocolate coating difficult. After 1 hour, mine has set. Take out of the tin and transfer the cutting board, nougat side up, caramel side down, which doesn't stick to the cutting board. Now we're gonna divide it into 16 equal rectangle pieces. Brush with some oil on the knife to prevent the nougat from sticking. So first, cut in half. Brush with some oil once again as needed, and then cut in half once again, and just repeat. Now we got 16 equal pieces. If you want bite-sized Snickers, you can cut it into even smaller pieces. Those small pieces are perfect for any situation: after waking up, before and after working out, before and after meal, or even before and after snack. And transfer the baking paper lined plate. We're gonna finish this up with chocolate coating. If you wanna coat all the 16 bars, you will need 500 grams of chocolate. But you don't have to do it to all of them. It's not only because 500 grams of chocolate is expensive, but also this content itself tastes delicious enough as it is. With or without chocolate, it's delicious either way. Chocolate must be tempered. What I always do is something like this. I use the cheapest milk chocolate in my country, which is not really perfect for tempering, I heard so, but it always works for me, so I use this. Cut the chocolate as fine as possible. Once you got fine chocolate, divide it into 1/3 and 2/3. Transfer to bowls. Next, melt 2/3 of the chocolate over a pot of hot water with a temperature of 50 to 60 C. Make sure to wipe the water off after using the thermometer. Bring up the temperature of the chocolate to 45 to 50 C while stirring with a silicone spatula. At this point, you should be very careful not to let the water go in the chocolate. Water ruins chocolate. Now mine has reached to the right temp, so take it out of the water, making sure there is no water splashing over the Snickers or the chocolate. And the next thing we're gonna do is cool this chocolate to the temperature of 30 to 32 C by adding the rest of the chocolate gradually and mixing. So you might not use all the chocolate. I ended up not using all. Now it has reached to the desired temperature, so I'm gonna do the chocolate coating, keeping those temperatures, which means if the chocolate cools down too much, I warm it up on hot water for seconds. After proper tempering, the chocolate will set properly and is less likely to have a fat bloom or any other problem. I know those processes might be annoying, but you don't have to aim for perfection at all. If you did something wrong in the process, chocolate is still chocolate, it will never taste bad. So start chocolate coating. Dip the bar in it, preferably caramel side up, as the final product of Mars Snickers is like that. I follow it. Scoop the chocolate with a spatula and pour it over. Using 2 forks, fish it out and drain the chocolate as much as possible by tapping the forks on the bowl 10 times or even more. I do even 20 times. It's not only because I don't want too thick chocolate coating, but also I want to reduce the waste of the chocolate. The more you tap, the more the chocolate go back into the bowl, which saves the chocolate amount you need. And then transfer the baking paper lined plate when you can add some kind of design, like creating diagonal lines or writing the traditional Snickers vein design. I have no idea how to explain how to do. Maybe write the letter S many times. Once that's done, you can leave it at room temperature for 1 to 2 hours or put it in the fridge for only 15 minutes just until set. Don't exceed 15 minutes as it can cause the chocolate to have condensation on the surface, which is not good. Once it has set, trim off the excess and ready to eat. Try it out. So peanutty, chocolatey, and stickiness of the caramel, crunchiness of the peanuts, tastes exactly what the real Mars Snickers like. If I compare them, mine is slightly more chewy, and the caramel and nougat both are much more gooey and sticky than Mars one, which I was exactly aiming for. It's so addictive and delicious. I think when it comes to Snickers, the stickier the better. Anyway, I'm happy with the result. I think it might even be better than Mars one. Having said that, it was so hard to develop this recipe because Mars Snickers is already way too delicious. So please give it a try and let me know how it turns out. Which one do you prefer? Mars Snickers or your head Snickers? Let me know. Don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.